And we can get started. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Pastor Justin. I am the youth pastor here at Bethel Christian Fellowship, and I just want to invite you. We're glad to have you this morning. This morning, we are talking about the book of Ecclesiastes. And let me just pop ahead. Oh, yeah, we're working. All right. So today's sermon title, I have two. I unintentionally, when I was emailing everything off, wrote a different sermon title in the communications I gave to our kind of administrative staff. So depending on which one you like more, it's either today's sermon is either surrounded by absurdity or surrounded by. Oh wait, you fixed it. Never mind. I'm Benjamin. You're amazing. You fixed it that fast. Wow. The other title was Everything is Absurd. So it's either Everything is Absurd or Surrounded by Absurdity. So today we are going to be talking about God's wisdom in the book of Ecclesiastes. This is a picture of King Solomon. I don't know if you can read the text we have right over here, but this is a picture of King Solomon by one of my favorite Christian artists, Gustav Dior, or Dore, depending on how you pronounce it. I'm not totally sure, but I like his stuff. All right, so raise your hand if you've ever read the book of Ecclesiastes. Just a quick survey of the room. All right, the book of Ecclesiastes is not like a book you read when you want to feel good. All right? The book of Ecclesiastes, I'll just read some of the pieces so you guys can get a sense of it. Refuse to worry and keep your body healthy, but remember that youth with a whole life before you is meaningless. It seems so wrong that everyone under the sun suffers the same fate. Already twisted by evil, people choose their own mad course, for they have no hope. There is nothing ahead but death anyway. Everything is meaningless, says the teacher, completely meaningless. And this is just a collage. You feel free to read these while I talk a little bit. But we were at a pastor's meeting a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, and they asked the pastors in the room what their favorite book of the Bible was, and everyone was going around, and it kind of felt like everyone was saying like really basic, like, I love the book of John. My favorite book of the Bible is the book of Luke. And I was like, come on, you guys do better than that. Like, those are great books, don't get me wrong. But like, that's your favorite book of the Bible? Like, there's 4 books just like the book of John. And John is unique, it's different, it's engaging, but like, there's gotta be, isn't there something that's more juicy, something more interesting? And as I was listening to these pastors talk about their favorite books, I was like, wait a minute. I guess I haven't thought about this that much. I think the book of Ecclesiastes might be my favorite book of the Bible. And that kind of forced me to deal with, like, what is it that I'm appreciating about this book? And I've decided that today I'm going to share some of my appreciation for the book of Ecclesiastes with you, because I find it to be inaccessible, hard to understand, hard to grasp, distressing, disturbing. But ultimately, I find that when I'm in my darkest places in my mind, this book comes in and it says, you're not wrong for noticing the emptiness or the absurdity or the meaninglessness. And there is more to it. And so this is going to be a 2-part sermon. And if the first part of the sermon this morning is heavy, don't get up and leave, because I promise the second part makes the first part worth it. All right? Because this book can be uncomfortable. So a quick little background. It's always been one of my favorite books of the Bible, and there is a book that won Book of the Year award for Bible and Devotional called Everything is Never Enough by Bobby Jameson. And this is the most incredible book study on the book of Ecclesiastes that you will ever read. He does the most comprehensive job of kind of assessing the book of Ecclesiastes. This is not too heavy, all right? It's a medium-sized book. If you're curious, it's on Amazon. I don't think it's super expensive, but he's making an effort to try to make the book of Ecclesiastes accessible and understandable. The Bible Project has also done some really good stuff, but I found this to be a lot more rich. All right, we're going to keep going. So he talks about 3 floors of the book of Ecclesiastes. So he talks about the ground floor of Ecclesiastes, which is like if you're just walking into a building, you'll walk into the ground floor, right? It's the thing you notice right away. And it's talking all about the emptiness of work, the emptiness of pleasure, the emptiness of food or wealth or power or success or wisdom or long life. He's trying to point out the emptiness of this world. And most of the book spends its time on the ground floor. But there are these moments where he ascends a level, and he invites you to see things from the second floor. And on the second floor, he's pointing out the God-given gifts of work, pleasure, food, wealth, long life, good health. And he's inviting you to see that these are gifts. And the third level, which I don't know if we'll have time to get to today, maybe we'll do it in a future sermon here, is an invitation to learn that God's perspective is beyond your understanding. It's these reminders that he doesn't spend a lot of time on this, but he elevates to these moments in really just quick bursts where he's inviting you to approach God as a judge, as an unknown, as beyond your ability to comprehend. And we call this the fear of the Lord. Now, he's not asking you to have anxiety. He's asking you to respect and honor God as higher and greater. And so we're going to spend our morning on these bottom two floors, the ground floor and the second level. So I want to welcome you to the ground floor of Ecclesiastes. And I think sometimes we get uncomfortable, and when I get uncomfortable, I like to try to make jokes and get lighthearted. And I'm going to be resisting that as much as possible. It might slip out every now and then. So this is the ground floor of Ecclesiastes. Better to spend your time at funerals than at parties. After all, everyone passes away. Most fortunate of all those who are not yet born, for they have not seen all the evil that is done under the sun. Don't be surprised if you see a poor person being mistreated by the powerful, and if justice is being mistreated in the land. Even the king milks the land for his own profit. So what do people get for all this life, for all their hard work and anxiety? Their days of labor are filled with pain and grief. And when we enter into the ground floor, he's inviting you to do a survey of the brokenness that you've experienced in the world as well. And we've all experienced aspects of this. Different things, some worse than others, right? And we need to hear the message of the ground floor. And we have this discomfort with it, and so we try to move on quickly, but we need to hear this message. Because the author of Ecclesiastes wants to prevent you from wasting your life by chasing after things that aren't able to give it value or purpose or meaning. So he's coming in and he's knocking over your little Jenga tower that you're trying to build. Like, if I just have this thing in my life, it'll be good. If I have this thing in my life, it'll be good. And I'm going to build this amazing life for myself. And Kohelet, the teacher, the author, he's coming in, he's saying, ha, you think you're building a life of value? No. And he knocks your little tower over. And it is violent and it is uncomfortable, but it is necessary and it is good. He's violently attacking the empty things you might chase after or attempt to save you from the brokenness, right? So he says everything is meaningless. And in some of your translations, I like the NLT's translation, and I'll explain it here in a second. Some of your translations say vanity. Some of your translations will say enigma, or there's one other that I don't have up here, and I can't quite remember what it is. But it's this idea that everything is, the Hebrew word is hevel. Mist, vapor, smoke, that when you try to grab a hold of it, it slips through your fingers. When you think this is the thing that, this is the thing, it's not what I thought it was, right? Like you might be able to appreciate it for a moment, but quickly it slips away and it's gone. Meaningless, like chasing after the wind. And I like the word meaningless because it's saying that the things of this world are not able to supply meaning or purpose to your life. That if I grasp onto my work is like, I am going to be the best in this field, I'm going to make a difference, I'm going to make an impact on the world, and you give yourself wholly over to this thing and you're pursuing it above all other things, somehow when you squeeze it, you open your hands and there's nothing there. These things are unable to give purpose or meaning to your life. And so he In Ecclesiastes 2, he says, "So what do people get in this life for all their hard work and anxiety? Their days of labor are filled with pain and grief. Even at night, their minds can't rest. It's all meaningless." Your pain, stress, and grief that come into your life from your labor, right? Leaving it to others once your time is ended. There's a point where you can't labor anymore, where you can't work or serve. And you have to pass it off to other people and hope that they'll take it as seriously as you did. And there's this inability to control what happens in the moment and also when you're done. And so he says it's meaningless, like chasing after the wind. And with pleasure, he goes on, and we're going to read a verse here in a second. You can pursue pleasure in life, but nothing ever satisfies. Nothing ever lasts. You could have everything, and it would never be enough. And this is Ecclesiastes 2:9. "So I became greater than all who had lived in Jerusalem before me, and my wisdom never failed me. Anything I wanted, I would take. I denied myself no pleasure. I even found great pleasure in hard work, a reward for all my labors. But as I looked at everything I had worked so hard to accomplish, it was all so meaningless, like chasing after the wind. There was nothing really worthwhile anywhere." And Ecclesiastes goes on, it doesn't just stop with like work or pleasure, it goes on to the injustices that we encounter in our lives. "Again, I observed all the oppression that takes place under the sun. I saw the tears of the oppressed with no one to comfort them. The oppressors who have great power and their victims are helpless. So I concluded that the dead are better off than the living. But most fortunate of all is those who are not yet born, for they have not seen all the evil that is done under the sun." And I'm not gonna take a survey of this with you guys right now, but there have been times in my life where I've felt this way, where I've looked at the struggle and the hardship and the evil and the wrongdoing, and I've said, maybe it's just not worth it. Maybe the pain and the bad outweigh the good. And there's something so validating about seeing this. Like, this doesn't feel like it belongs in the Bible. You feel me? This feels out of place in God's word in Scripture. But God, in his goodness, knew that some of us would encounter these feelings and these thoughts. And he comes in and he says, I want you to know that this is not a surprise to me that you feel this way. You've encountered the brokenness of this world. You've seen the effects of sin in this world, and it offends you and it feels wrong to you. And I feel the same way. The brokenness of this world should offend you. It would be a problem if it didn't. No matter the efforts, the world will never truly be just in a righteous place, as the powerful will always take advantage of the weak or abuse their position for unjust gain. And there are people who they commit their lives to sorting out injustice. And the more time you spend trying to sort out injustice and make the world right, the more evil you uncover as you go, right? I think I might have just messed it up. If there's someone in the sound booth that could... Oh, no, we got it. Okay. There's always more evil that you haven't found out yet. And the second you stop your work, it's like plugging holes in a leaky ship. There's just always another problem. There's always another thing to deal with and to patch. And there's a South Korean theologian named Andrew Sung Park. And he has... He talks about this theology around a Korean topic that is secular in its origins. This is not like a theologically Christian idea. It's this idea of Han. And it's the pain of all who have been sinned against. And that's not the way it's framed culturally in Korea, but that's kind of, it's like when someone does something wrong to another person, it has all of this long-term damage sometimes. And the Bible has a lot to say about our sin and our brokenness and the wrong we do in the world. But there have been a lot of people that are like, what about me? I was sinned against and I'm still dealing with the trauma or the side effects or like in ways that I can't even quite comprehend, right? When injustice happens, Han happens. And sometimes the pain that we carry from a previous wound, the bitterness, the anger, it creates more sin in us. It causes us to go out and bring more Han into the world and other people. This is from his book, and I don't know if I actually cited the book, The Wounded Heart of God. It was written in the 1990s. And so this is not a very new theological idea, but it's worth digging into this morning. So he says, throughout its history, the church has been concerned with the sin of people, but it has largely overlooked an important factor in human evil, the pain of the victims of sin. The victims of various types of wrongdoing express the ineffable experience of deep bitterness and helplessness. Such an experience of pain is called Han in the Far East, namely Korea. Han can be defined as the critical wound of the heart generated by unjust psychosomatic repression, as well by social, political, economic, and cultural oppression. So this is a deep wound that many people carry. It is entrenched in the hearts of the victims of sin and violence and is expressed through such diverse reactions as sadness, helplessness, hopelessness, resentment, hatred, and the will for revenge. Han reverberates in the souls of the survivors of the Holocaust, Palestinians in the occupied territories, victims of racial discrimination, battered wives, children involved in divorces, the victim of child molestation, laid-off workers, the unemployed and exploited workers. Han is frustrated hope after facing great injustice and knowing things can never be made right. You can't go back to the way it was before the bad thing happened. It's the agony of processing pain greater than we can manage. It's giving up because of being overwhelmed by the weights of life. It's bitterness that transforms into hatred because of others' wrongdoing. It's grief and it reshapes our entire lives, and it can't be escaped or patched over easily. And he says, again, I observed all the oppression that takes place under the sun. I saw the tears of the oppressed with no one to comfort them. The oppressors have great power and their victims are helpless, so I concluded that the dead are better off. He's talking about Han right here. Do you see this? Do you see how well that matches up? When I see the weight of the evil of sin that rests upon the people of this world, I concluded that the dead are better off than the living, because there is so much of it going around. And the teacher goes on. He says, even your holiness and your righteousness and your religiosity, your goodness, maybe I'll just try to be a good person and I'll live wisely and I'll try to be as intelligent and as good as I can, right? He says, good people are often punished for doing nothing. Wicked people seem to prosper, oftentimes more than the righteous, and the wicked are often celebrated. The race does not always go to the swiftest, or the battle to the strongest. In Ecclesiastes 9, he says, death comes to us all. The same destiny ultimately awaits everyone, whether righteous or wicked or good or bad or clean or unclean, religious or irreligious. Good people receive the same treatment as sinners, and people who make promises to God are often treated like people who don't. And if you are following God in the hopes that it is going to bring purpose and meaning, he says sometimes you'll find it can't give you that. If you're trying to squeeze purpose and meaning out of your behavior or this life or a community or a lifestyle or a creed, those things can't do it for you. Being a good person isn't enough. Your success or your legacy, sometimes we think, if I make an impact on this world and I leave a name for myself, my life will have meaning. Good people are often punished for nothing. Wicked people seem to prosper. We just talked about that. Skill and talent guarantee nothing, and your legacy isn't in your control. Once you're gone, it's out of your hands. Who can tell them what will happen under the sun after they're gone? And I think this one is the heaviest for a lot of us. because it seems like death haunts. It's either looming or it has loomed. And it's uncomfortable to sit with. It's uncomfortable to be around sometimes. If all of this is, and this is the question I want to ask you, if all of this is true and godly wisdom, should our response just be, well, then if nothing matters, let's feast and drink for tomorrow we die, right? Like, then we're just going to enjoy pleasure. We're going to find as many good things as we can and just rest in the emptiness, right? Because nothing matters. But he said, I tried that, and it was meaningless. So do you see this, like, we're in a recursive loop of, like, brokenness, and nothing can make the brokenness right. And so give up, but even giving up isn't able to do anything for you. And this is where we're going to get off of the first floor. He says, I came to hate life because everything done here is so troubling. Everything is meaningless, like chasing the wind. When we demand purpose, value, and meaning from things that were never made to provide them, we harm ourselves and we ruin the very gifts God has given us to enjoy. And this is Jesus and the rich young ruler and this is a thread I want you to see. This is so congruent with the ministry of Jesus, this idea in Ecclesiastes. If you tie the thread from this book to the ministry of Jesus, it flows so perfectly. Because he stood in front of this rich young ruler and he said, Teacher, what must I do to receive eternal life? And Jesus saw this young man clinging so tightly to his status and his religiosity. And Jesus spoke in the same way Kohelet knocks over the little towers we build our lives out of. Jesus comes to this rich young ruler and he sees the tower that he has built in his life. And Jesus kicks it over. And then the rich young ruler goes immediately to building it back up again, right? He says, you need to sell your possessions because you are clinging to them too tightly. You are trying to wring purpose and meaning out of something that is smoke and vapor and empty, and you need to let it go. And Jesus, in his goodness, was willing to do that violence to this young man. And that leads us into the second floor of Ecclesiastes. And this, if you embrace this second floor, alongside the first, because you can't really get the second floor without your tower being knocked over. You can't embrace the goodness that God is offering you on this floor unless you've experienced the pain of the first. But I'm going to tell you how good it is as we go. It's good for people to eat, drink, and enjoy their work under the sun. And it is a good thing to receive wealth from God and the good health to enjoy it. We should eat and drink and enjoy the fruits of our labor, for these are gifts from God. I realize that these pleasures are from the hand of God. Who can eat or enjoy anything apart from him? So I recommend having fun because there is nothing better for people in this world. And that sounds, wait a minute. I thought that was empty, right? If you've been paying attention, he didn't, let's go back. He just said, yeah, I tried cheering myself with wine and embracing folly. This is meaningless. And he's right, it is meaningless. But what is happening here? What is going on the second floor? And this is Bobby Jameson's quotes. This, I tell you what, when he gets to the second floor in this book, I ran out of highlighter ink. You know what I'm saying? It's so good. Weeping in my office as I prepared this sermon. It has been such a joy to write this sermon. And I say that knowing I spent a lot of time on the first half. Out of every sermon I have ever written, this one has given me the most joy, church. Sitting in my office, breaking down in tears of gratefulness to God. Because when he does this work, when you see it, it is so good and it brings you to worship. It brings you to this place where you don't need a song to worship, because your heart is singing it, because you are worshiping with every fiber of your being as you say, thank you, my Father. I forgot how good you are. I was looking at everything else. I'm going off. Let's just go back to the notes. Joy beyond and behind the universe joyed you and all things into existence. So this being of pure love, outside of the universe, in his joy, brought you into this world, into the hevel and the han and the vapor and the meaninglessness. This being of joy, through his love and his joy, brought you into life. To enjoy this life is God's gift. And it is not to pretend life is something that it isn't, but to receive it for what it is. Because as far down as absurdity reaches, gift runs deeper still. And as far down as the brokenness and the han and the pain goes, beauty and gifts from God run deeper still. This is Ecclesiastes 2. We're just going to sit on his words. Okay? We're going to just do a little run through of these ideas that are in the book of Ecclesiastes. So I decided there is nothing better than to enjoy food and drink and to find satisfaction in my work. Then I realized that these pleasures are from the hand of God. For who can eat or enjoy anything apart from him? Do you see the difference between looking for the meaning in the food and the drink and enjoying them because they're being gifted to you by the person of God? It centers him, not the food and the drink. Ecclesiastes 3. What do people really get for all their hard work? I've seen the burden God has placed on us. Yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. He has planted eternity in our heart, but even so, we cannot see the whole scope of his work from beginning to end. So I concluded there is nothing better than to be happy and enjoy as long as we can, as long as he allows us to. And we should eat and drink and enjoy the fruits of our labor, for these are gifts from God. So don't squeeze them, right? He's saying if God has given you a gift, you don't need to just wrap your arms around it and try to get all the good stuff out of it before it's over. You open your hands knowing that these things won't last and can't give your life purpose or value. And you just thank God while you enjoy them. You sit and you taste your food instead of just gobbling it down. You pause and you take a breath when you're working and you just say, I have a job. I found employment that's providing my needs. You sit with the people around you and you dwell on the image of God reflected in them, and you're full of thankfulness and amazement, like, wow, God made a person like you. He's got more for us. Even so, I've noticed one thing at last that is good. It is good for people to eat, drink, and enjoy their work under the sun during this short life God has given them, and to accept their lot in life. And it is a good thing to receive wealth from God and the good health to enjoy it. To enjoy your work and accept your lot in life is a gift from God, and he keeps people like this so busy enjoying life that they don't have time to brood over the past. Do you see? The author of Ecclesiastes hasn't even met Jesus yet. And he's saying, look at the gift God has given you. If you truly embrace this, the effects of sin and evil that have been done to you lose their power. The han and the wrongdoing, they're weakened. And they might still be there, but they're weakened as you focus on the goodness that God is bringing into your life. I think sometimes We guilt people who have received the gift of wealth from God. We look on them with judgment. Or maybe we feel guilty for the wealth that we might have. It is a good thing. I think sometimes we feel guilty for enjoying the gifts we've been given, especially when we have memories and the awareness that there's a lot of other people in the world who don't have those things. We think about people back home and how expensive things are for them, or how they don't have enough money, or how I maybe have been blessed with all this ability and these resources, and I can't enjoy myself here because I'm thinking about them back home. And he says that's good. It's good that you love them back home and you're thinking of them, but don't let that poison the good things he's giving you right now. Don't let that stop you from enjoying the blessing that's been in your life, because it is a gift from God. So go ahead, eat your food with joy, with a happy heart. God approves of this. Wear fine clothes with a splash of cologne. Enjoy it. Live happily with the woman you love through all the meaningless days of your life that God has given you. He's saying, even as he says in one breath, your life is meaningless, he says it's a gift. In the midst of the emptiness, God is this being of happiness and joy that is saying, come and delight in what I have given you to be this gift. Your marriage might not be able to give you meaning and purpose, but he says it is still a gift of joy that I'm giving to you. Don't try to squeeze your spouse for joy and purpose and meaning and this perfect. No, but you can enjoy it. Enjoy the blessing of this other person. The same eyes that see Han and Hevel in our world also are overwhelmed as they see God dispensing gifts everywhere that he goes. And we see this image of a God who delights in giving good gifts to his children. And the Garden of Eden, if you translate the word Eden, it means delight. It is the garden of his delight for you. And he's inviting Adam and Eve in the garden. He says, come, conquer the world and fill it. This is his commission. Subdue it. Fill it with other little baby humans. Enjoy this garden of my delight as I provide food for you, as I provide companionship for you in all of these other places. And it doesn't have to be intimate. Enjoy the children that I'm giving you to fill this earth. Stop focusing on all you don't have that you think will give you meaning but can't. And in my delight. In God's world, enjoyment is a clue to reality's deepest, brightest secret. The universe is the gleeful invention of an inassailably happy God. And if we approach life with this lens, it shines a light in the Hevel. God is saying to us, enjoy my gifts with open hands. Don't squeeze them. Let these gifts become a place of revelation, a vehicle for us to realize his love for us. That he is, like in this moment right now as you sit and listen, he is delighting over you and sustaining your body. He is sustaining your thoughts and your life. He's providing shelter from you, from the weather outside. And this is Paul in 1 Corinthians. He says, what do you have that God has not given to you? And if everything you have is from God, why boast as though it were not a gift? Your spouse, a family, a place of birth, a job, a child, a community, health, good food, a book to read. Each is a gift and each has its arc. Each not only comes, but soon goes. or you go from it. And it's this reminder that we don't have control. Sometimes we try to build these towers because they make us feel safe and they make us feel like we have control, but we don't. And so sit and receive what God has given you, knowing it might not last. And it probably won't, because either you're going to go or it's going to go. Who can you thank for air just warm enough for a t-shirt? The sun setting pink and orange through shredded clouds at the horizon. A breeze bearing hints of the water's living depths. And skin, eyes, and a nose to receive these gifts. Who can you thank for the softness of a newborn's cheek? Giving thanks to God seals and completes the happiness that God wants to bring. And it means the happiness God means his gifts to bring to you. So I want you to close your eyes and just sit and relax. I'm going to read from this book a passage that, man, is really, really powerful for me. And I know not all of you are in this same phase of life, or may not ever be in this same phase of life, but it evokes in my heart an awareness that I miss sometimes. Our 8-year-old son, William, is sometimes a reluctant swimmer. His 4-year-old sister, Margaret, does not share his hesitation, though she can't actually swim yet. On summer days at the pool in a suburb next to D.C., Washington, D.C., or weekday evenings when we pack dinner and enjoy the slanting light and softer heat, she wants nonstop action, which means she needs nonstop assistance. All she wants in her whole life, it seems, is for me to catch her as she jumps off the edge of the pool again and again and again. The whole time she's gleeful and giggling, perma-smile, radiant. A couple of Saturdays ago, after launching her skyward and catching her as she splashed into the pool for the 46th time, or fielding her leap from the side for the 23rd time, I felt my mind start floating into shadows. Desires started tugging me elsewhere. A breather or a break would be nice. When do the lifeguards take a break? I wouldn't mind swimming laps for 15 minutes alone. It would be great to have an hour or two to write later this afternoon, do some work, but I doubt that will work for the rest of the family. What beauties was my heart ignoring? What barricades of blessing was my mind scrambling over in order to wander away from this perfect sight of the eyes? Water just cool enough to render the too hot, too humid air was a pleasing pairing. Steadfast sunlight softened by occasional cumulus clusters of cloud. A ring of tall maples and pines cupping the property around me. Time and place sealed off from my job so that I not only don't have to work, but couldn't work if I wanted to. My wife, our 4 children, and me all enjoying ourselves together at a place with something for everyone. There's a waterfall for our youngest to play under. An ample shallow end for a not yet proficient swimmer to play in safely. Diving boards for the more adventurous teens and preteens. The whole ensemble of beauty making me feel lighter and looser and younger than I had since, well, probably the last time we were here doing something fun. And then, of course, there was this beaming, insatiable 4-year-old herself, her cheeks lightly freckled by the summer sun, reveling in propulsion and flight and all manner of landings in the water. Between every toss or jump, clinging to my neck and pressing her face to mine. How can you become content? How can you enjoy the good you have rather than being embittered by present suffering or absent good? You can open your eyes if you haven't already. The only time you ever have to enjoy your life is right now. You can't enjoy life in the future. That's not what the future can do for you. Planning your life, having it together is good and it's wise, but it can't bring you purpose and meaning and enjoyment. Right now you can. Right, like now, you could turn me off, right? You could zone me out right now and just enjoy the gifts God is giving you. And there's a secular practice called mindfulness. I'm sure some of you have heard of this. It's kind of taking from some Eastern ideas at times, but it's just this awareness of the present moment, right? It's sitting and breathing and feeling your body and letting your thoughts come in and go out, processing the air around you, the breath in your body, and it's meant to ground you in the moment. And it's not bad, right? Like, it's not like the idea of just grounding yourself in the moment, but it's not this. Do you hear what I'm saying? Like, you might have been exposed to mindfulness. I did a ton of trainings when I was working in the school district on it. And it wasn't like evil or they weren't telling us to pray to some Hindu god, right? Like, it was just about experiencing the now. But it's what the book of Ecclesiastes is pointing you towards is 10 times better than any mindfulness training or exercise could give you. Because it isn't just about stopping in the present moment. This is stopping, opening your hands from the things that you're gripping too tightly to, and looking around you for the gifts that already surround you, because they are everywhere. And it is giving proper attribution to God as the supplier of those gifts. And so this is taking the ideas of mindfulness, and it is turning it into like this Christian worshipful mindfulness that is like exponentially better, all right? Like mindfulness times mindfulness times mindfulness. And the benefit that this will have to your relationship with God, the benefit that this has to benefit your family, to benefit your work, to benefit you personally, if you are just finding these opportunities to stand there in awe of the way God is blessing you. There is no end to the things he can do in your life if you just sit and look for reasons to worship him. And so we are going to conclude here. And if I could have the worship team come on up. We're going to go into a time of worship. And so your homework today is going to be this. There's going to be, at the end of service, after the benediction, we're going to have handouts in the back that I want you to grab before you leave. There'll be ushers at the doors passing them out. And I want you to find time and to go through this list looking for reasons to be thankful to God. And some of you won't need this list. Okay, so this is not like a perfect guide. But this is an opportunity for you to sit and dwell on the ways that in the midst of all the brokenness of this world, you can worship and thank God from the purest place in your heart. To soften your heart towards him into this world. And to open your hands and to say, thank you, Jesus. Let's praise him together.